Welcome, this is the Heat 2 book review. Two motorcycle engines rev up, screaming towards them. Bullets start to fly all around them. Her family is only thinking locally, whereas she is thinking globally. The past doesn't forget. You reap what you sow. You're probably asking yourself, Travis, why in the hell would anyone do this? 8 figures, that's why. Welcome, this is the Heat 2 book review. If you get value from this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. First things first, read the book and then see the movie when it comes out. It will be worth your time. I'm going to give you the general flow and some highlights of what goes down within this tale. So let's get into it.
Los Angeles, 1995.
Nate's gonna pick you up. He's gonna take you to his place.
After the robbery, Nate gets Chris out of LA. Hours later, Chris wakes up to find himself getting on a plane to an unknown destination.
Chicago, 1988.
Chris Shaherless goes to Vegas often. However, this time he's struck by a beautiful woman named Charlene. A few days later, at a diner on the near north side of Chicago, Neil McCauley and Chris are casing a bank that is across the street. After their meal and are satisfied with their research, they pay the waiter and get out of there. Now, it's backstory time. Vincent Thomas Hanna was born in 1948 in rural western Illinois. And as he grew up in those parts, he had only one thing on his mind: to get out of there. So he graduates high school in '66 and immediately enlists in the Marines. In '68, he gets sent over to Nam. During Vincent's tour, he had an eye-opening experience where he went without sleep or shelter and ran on nothing but amphetamines for a month.
Give me all you got!
Listen.
Give me all you got!
Not a good time. Yet from this experience, it gave him the conviction which gave him his drive and focus throughout his life. He does everything in his power to stop injustice when it crosses his path. After his service is up, he enrolls at Boston University, graduates in 3 years. Then he joins the Chicago Police Department and becomes a detective in 3 years. This is not someone who sits idle for long. During this time,
He's taking down some heavy crews.
thank you, Nate. So back in '88, a gang of home invaders had been targeting affluent families inside of Lincoln Park of Chicago's North Side. The gang is led by a master manipulator, a malicious force, someone who's indefatigably evil. Meet Otis Lloyd Wardell. He's a sadistic, shrewd, self-serving, and opportunistic man with a penchant for brutally harming his victims. Disturbingly, all his victims share a specific form of abuse that he imposes on them. Quickly, it becomes undeniable that this specific form of abuse is the mark of Wardell's handiwork. Once Hanna became aware of him, he quickly went after him. Both are similar in nature, yet the difference is what each of them is after. Hanna takes down crews, and Wardell takes scores. Alright, this brings us to the first big action scene. Hanna intercepts Wardell while he's in the middle of a home invasion. It's a loud, intense, highly choreographed, action-packed shoot-'em-up sequence. It ends with a badass car chase that will be worth your price of admission alone. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see it. Prior to this action sequence, Hanna's been growing ill of the work environment within the CPD. Meanwhile, on the near north side of town, it's showtime for Chirito, Neil, Chris, and driver lookout Danny Molina. They are working the bank that Neil and Chris had cased earlier. Look! What do you mean, Neil? I'm telling a story here, and I'm going to have some fun while I do it. Speaking of fun, I was listening to the audiobook while I was reading it for the first time. I was on a plane headed to Texas, housing Bloody Marys and howling the whole time as the crew was getting the job done.
Stop talking, okay, Snake?
Oh! Alright, Michael. Can't win with these guys. You know, I was just saying, I had a great time while y'all made out like kings. After the job, Neil went out west to meet up with Kelso to show him some highly sensitive documents that they found from the heist. They discover the documents lead to an opportunity with enormous potential. Back in Chicago, Hanna accepts that Wardell has slipped away today, but vows that he won't be so lucky when they meet again. Vincent quits the CPD. Around this time, Wardell went medieval on somebody who helped Neil with the bank job. It's not pretty. Energized by the meet with Kelso, Neil heads to a town near the Mexican border to spend time with his girlfriend and her daughter. We learn that his girlfriend has a unique set of skills that allows her to move anything of any quantity over any boundary without getting caught.
Paraguay, 1995 through 96.
In Ciudad del Este, Paraguay, organized crime controls everything. Every business, every industry, and by their own rules. It's why there isn't any street crime or random acts of violence there. The locals know better. For example, finding a body floating down the Paraná River is not by accident. It would be understood as business related, no questions asked. In this city, a handful of different families have the corner on specific goods and services. The Lius and Chins are the most prominent of them, and the focus in this story. As you will see, there's a lot of dirty pool played down here, especially between the Lius and Chins. Both of the families have most of the wealth in Ciudad, so they generally work with one another on major deals that come their way. Make no mistake, each family is out for themselves and will do anything to keep what they have while taking what they can from the other. Disclaimer, I'm sure that Ciudad del Este is a fine place to be. I'm only recounting from what I read in this story. So, since the bank job, Chris has been in Paraguay for about a year now, under a different alias. He's been keeping his head down and staying in shape. Paraguay is a melting pot of expats, fugitives, and stowaways from all over the world. It's noisy, chaotic, cutthroat, and out of control. But for Chris, oddly, he feels right at home. He starts his day pushing play on his Walkman, hopping on a bike, and heading to work. As he drives through town, there are security guards armed to the teeth at every business entrance. When you hear the song Chris is blasting through his Walkman as he's driving, you'll flip out. It's impeccable. And I'm telling you, when the previews come out, this part will be in it. Hands down. It's too good not to, and there are plenty of iconic moments like this one where the song selection is perfect for the scene. While he's been down there, he hasn't heard from or seen Dominic or Charlene. He misses them terribly, and his plan is to do whatever he can to get them back together. He has a security job at an emporium where thousands of people buy, trade, or sell all the stolen and or counterfeited goods they want in a day. Chris's boss, Paolo, is a sharp yet cool customer with a lethal military background. The money-making emporium they both work at is owned by the Lius. Paolo is the Liu's head of security throughout their organization, not just at the emporium. David Liu is arguably the richest man in the country. His wealth comes from owning the emporium and seizing opportunities like we're about to find out in a minute. Due to his wealth, he also carries the largest target on his back in Paraguay. His daughter, Anna, is elegant, classy, and intelligent. David also has a son, Felix, who is in his mid-20s, perpetually stays up late, parties, and is not a serious person. Even though it's been about a year since Chris has been down there, Paolo still does not trust Chris and hardly speaks to him. To build trust with him, Chris offers to train Paolo's troops by teaching them to move like this. It goes well. Gradually, Paolo starts to listen to Chris more and more and is impressed by the suggestions he makes. Paolo recognizes him as a potential asset to the family. Days later, Chris and Paolo are on assignment to pick up some merchandise at the airport. And when they get there, it doesn't take Chris long to see that this isn't just Game Gears and bootleg VHSs. It crosses his mind that David Liu is easily worth tens of millions of dollars given what he had seen tonight. And this is just the opportunity Chris has been looking for. And on the surface, the Lius are into real estate and retail, but where their real money comes from is selling this kind of merchandise to whoever is willing to pay for it at the Liu's price. Remember, where they're from, they don't consider this crime. It's just standard commerce. Get what you can and keep what you got. The next day, Chris picks up Felix and Anna to take them home. As he's driving them, he can't help but notice the stark difference between the two of them. It's hard to believe that they're related. Chris knows her name is Anna, and she is on break from school. That's it. She's dressed for success and speaks with a beautiful English accent. She reads quietly in the car, where Felix is a textbook spoiled rich kid who tends to complain about every little thing. They're caught in a traffic jam when suddenly 2 motorcycle engines rev up, screaming towards them. Bullets start to fly all around them, and for a moment it gets dicey. But Chris pulls through and gets them home safely. Anna tells her father her account of what happened. David is thankful. Both he and Anna are impressed by Chris and see that this is a guy they can depend on. Chris has proven himself and lets the family know that he's willing to take on more responsibility. Word travels fast in Paraguay, and the competition for money and power never stops. The Chins heard about what the Lius scooped up the other day, and they want it. The merchandise that the Lius have is extremely valuable for parties who are interested in taking what they want, when they want, with no consequences. It provides immeasurable tactical advantages when applied in combat scenarios. I'm not going to get into exactly what the Lius have, because that would take the fun out of it. However, I'll do this for you. In the past, we've all seen when cutting-edge technology is in the wrong hands, like in this,
I blew up the building! Why? Because you made a phone call!
and that.
Smart move embedding God's eye into the mainframe.
So the Lius know the Chins want what they have, so they decide to sell it to them, but they have a card hidden up their sleeve. The Casino Paraná is owned by the Chins. The rising heir apparent of their family is named Claudio. He's a rich, flamboyant, peculiar kind of fellow. The Lius send Chris to meet with Claudio at the casino. Before Chris heads out there, Anna warns him about Claudio. Do not be fooled by his dress and behavior. Claudio is ruthless and will do anything to get what he wants. On a side note, David and Anna had been worried for some time about Felix, partying too much with Claudio lately. In short, the meeting goes well. The Chins want to buy what the Lius got. So it's a win for Chris and a win for the Lius. Afterwards, Chris and Anna get real cozy and talk a bit about how they see the future. She is awestruck by his technical prowess and fearlessness, as he is equally enamored by her intelligence and vision. Together, they could potentially be a dynamic force to be reckoned with.
U.S.-Mexican border, 1988.
Folks, this is the most important part of the story. Bottom line, it will determine whether we love or hate this movie. I say this because it's such an integral part of the story that ties the start and ending together. So let's get into it. From the intel Neil got from Kelso, it is strong enough to convince the crew to take a drive down south to Mexicali. For a couple of weeks, they do their homework and find a cleverly disguised stash house. Make no mistake, everyone from around there knows whose place that is. Here's what they're looking at. This job demands zero margin of error. The execution must be flawless. We're talking surgical. You're probably asking yourself, Travis, why in the hell would anyone do this? 8 figures, that's why. As you would imagine, when this amount of cash is in one place, it's going to be very well guarded. The locals watch out for the place, along with the police making rounds on the hour, so the crew has got their work cut out for them. The night before the robbery, Neil, his girl Elisa, and her daughter Gabriella share some nice moments together. He's got a lot of love for them. You can tell he's good to them both. Before bed, Gabriella teaches Neil about a spectacle found in the waters of the South Pacific. Something about that sounds familiar. Anyway, back to the heist. It's full of gunshots, violence, tactical movements, precision, sharp thinking, effective communication, brilliant improvisation, and all the stuff that you would expect from a Mann feature. 'Cause hell, it must. And as y'all know, every great story has got some ups and downs. And unfortunately, right after the bank job, some unexpected and terrible things take place. And granted, this is a movie we're talking about here, and we know criminals are going to be criminals, but there's some things you just don't want to see.
Paraguay, 1996.
The Chins and the Lius are still at it. The Lius sold the Chins the merchandise they had, however, the Lius tampered with it. Standard commerce in the Lius' eyes. Business as usual in Cited. The Chins suffered considerable property and fiscal damage due to the Lius tampering. This pissed off the Chins something fierce, and they're coming after the Lius worse than ever. The constant back and forth swindling and jockeying for control has escalated to a new level. One day, Otto decides enough is enough. The Chins, the family business, Ciudad del Este, it's all small ball. Her family is only thinking locally, whereas she is thinking globally. She wants to go big. Start her own future, and wants Chris to be a part of it. Anna extends her hand out to Chris by showing him how much merchandise that the Lius actually have in their garage. Chris's eyes nearly pop out of his head. He wasn't expecting to see what she had just shown him. She shares her forecast of the future to Chris while he tries to take it all in. Rather than selling stolen tech and weapons down the block to the Chins like her family does, she's going to take full advantage of where the world is headed. Her intuition leads her to this plan, and that is to expand on what her family is doing, but on a global scale, her way through the internet. The world is getting smaller. She sees that and knows that is where the future is. Without delay, he realizes they could be entering a realm of criminal possibility where there is no more answering to laws or anyone. They'd be operating outside of and beyond them. Nobody in law enforcement anywhere could stop them, even if they tried. It's a reality that most people cannot even imagine, except those who operate within it. However, Chris knows taking this path, there is no safety net. There are no redos. When you're on this ride, you're never coming off it. It's kill or be killed, and your fate is in your own hands. He loves it and declares his allegiance to her on the spot. For once in his life, he's on top of the world and got it all figured out. And guess what? The past reaches out and wants him back. Soon, a decision must be made. The future will want to know. What's it going to be, Chris? Thrills and uncertainty, or safe and sound?
Los Angeles, 2000.
Detectives Hannah and Drucker pull off the 210 just north of the valley to examine a crime scene. They find a body that has been out there for 2 or 3 days. It's rough to see, and the animals have had at it. Hannah begins to feel uneasy from observing how this crime went down, as if he may have seen this before from the past. Hours later, Vincent meets up with Drucker and another Detective Rausch in the autopsy suite to observe the autopsy of the victim they found. It's gruesome. Hannah paces and makes his own observations about the victim quietly while the ME gets to work. Upon inspection of the victim's head, the ME discovers an odd finding which sends shockwaves down Vincent's spine. He presses the ME for more information and immediately inquires more about the victim. Hannah is floored, numb. His instincts kick into high gear as old memories surge into the forefront of his mind, yet he remains calm and says nothing. After a few more questions, he waits for the ME to tell him what he hopes to hear. He needs to know if his intuition is right and that this is not just a coincidence. The ME concludes by confirming Hannah's suspicions. Validation. Fate. Destiny. Hannah briefly informs Drucker and Detective Rausch of his past with this criminal from Chicago. To Hannah, this is beyond right versus wrong, cops and criminals, jail or freedom. This time, it's personal, and it's either going to be him or Wardell. And the scary thing for Wardell is, he doesn't even have a clue what is headed for him. Down off South Figueroa, Otis Wardell has bettered himself by investing in a handful of seedy motels turned into brothels which he acquired from Neil's cut of the cartel robbery. With his own little kingdom set up, he has access to money or women whenever he needs them. His hotels are located so far at the end of the city limits, LAPD does not even fool with it. Going by the alias Smokey, John Francis Smolinski, nobody out here knows him by Otis. His crew especially knows better than to call him Wardell. 4.5 years have passed since Chris was in L.A. He's excited, yet a bit nervous coming back home. As cultured as she is, this is Anna's first time to California. The Liu family does not know that Chris and Anna are a couple, and they are incredibly careful about hiding that along with Chris's identity, since they are in L.A. For now, they are meeting up with aerospace engineers and contractors through an uncle of Anna's, Walter. They are there to do business on behalf of and for the family, but ultimately, they are there to find assistance and secure resources for their own vision. At the meeting, they find a contractor named Raymond who they can work with. Outside of work, poor Ray has dug himself into a deep hole and is desperate to find a way to get out. At his occupation, he has plenty of what they would need at his disposal and could be very instrumental in securing a robust start for Chris and Anna's future. They can turn to him when they need more merchandise. Chris and Anna are swinging big with their eyes on the ball. The meeting is going as planned, the ink is flying, and in a matter of moments they'll be on the fast track to their dream. However, as their plans have expanded past Paraguay, it seems so have the Lius and the Chins. When people who operate on constant skepticism combined with unbridled greed, they're always looking to hedge their bets. Trust is fickle amongst the families, and they want assurances and complete oversight of what Anna is doing for any potential deal she may strike out there. In short, Chris and Anna aren't getting to the promised land by continuing this route. Now that the tables have turned, Chris and Anna recognize that they don't have a lot of time. Within a matter of days, the families will be expecting the two of them making good on this deal for the families and heading back to Paraguay. Chris is furious and will not allow them to do this to her, to them. This is their time, their future. Yet he's still torn between which future to take. His family or Anna. Still, he goes on the offensive. He calls Nate and they meet up close to his bar, the Blue Room. Chris thanks Nate for helping him out after the bank job and asks him for a meetup with Kelso. Nate acknowledges that Paraguay has made Chris into a better man. Nate tells Chris he will set it up and let him know what time the meet is. Meanwhile, Wardell and his crew are back in the saddle again with another home invasion. The target? Elena. She is someone who has a vested interest in the hotels he runs. A heated exchange takes place between them, and eventually Wardell gets the information he needs from her. The house gets robbed, and I'm not going to tell you the rest. Back at Kelso's house, Chris explains to Kelso he needs a guide through the dark web to be able to expand his business. Their conversation looks very auspicious for Chris and Anna's plans. Now this is where things start to get interesting and start moving extremely fast. The past doesn't forget. You reap what you sow. Hannah's about to get some help from an unexpected source. The source spills the beans on Wardell and gives Hannah everything he needs to turn the pressure up sky high on Wardell and his whole operation. This source hits very close to home for practically everyone involved in the story. The next day, back in RHD, as Hannah is going through the pictures from Wardell's latest victim, Helena, they receive a packet from Chicago PD on Wardell as thick as a country ham. Hannah enlightens the whole division about Wardell and what he's capable of. Like a star quarterback, Hannah sets his team into motion by rapidly giving each of them their own specific job of what to do. RHD and LAPD start to press down and squeeze on the small players promptly within Wardell's enterprise. They cave and squeal it all about him. Before long, his hotels, his house, his operation are all up in smoke. Cops are all over them now. All Wardell has is the stash of cash which he stole from Helena. Chris Shaherlis meets with Nate behind his bar to pick up a zip drive that Kelso has left for them. Later at 3 a.m., Ray lets Chris and Anna into his manufacturing facility in El Segundo. Ray quickly escorts them through the facility, showing them that they can have access to whatever merchandise they need in exchange for getting him out of the hole he's dug himself into. After leaving the compound, they are satisfied with what they see and view Ray as a legitimate asset for their future. Time's running out. Chris realizes he must choose between his past or his future. And as he is in this existential dilemma, the constant, persistent, ever-growing temptation to avenge Neil's death is crossing his mind a lot. Given Chris's character, this temptation just adds another log to the fire within and raises the overall stakes to the movie as it approaches its climax. So after making an unannounced stop by to a house, Chris makes his decision. Back in Paraguay, an eager opportunist capitalizes on a situation which he thinks is going to secure his future. Extreme actions are taken, all which stem purely out of greed and self-preservation. Standard commerce, remember? Abruptly, Anna is thrown into the deep end, and the only question that matters is, does she really believe her plans will work? Will she sink or swim? After seeing the razor-thin probability for success, will Chris stick it out with her, or take his chips and run? Hypothetically, say if Chris were to run away from all this, don't you think that the Lius and Chens will still go after him when they find out what he and Anna were up to? Or would they be on the run together indefinitely? Later, Hannah has left the hospital where Helena is at. She told Hannah a large amount of jewelry was stolen from the home invasion. Vincent puts two and two together. Wardell's enterprise is gone. All he's got is the stones. He'll flip those into cash and be out of town in no time. A day or two tops. Gone. Bye-bye. Which brings us to quite possibly the most elaborate chase scene to ever be captured on film. This is where the score is settled. The showdown we've all been waiting for. You'll be shocked by how many surprises there are when you're watching this final part of the story. It's out of control. In my humble opinion, I think this section will be captured every possible way you could think of. They must to present it in the size and scale this part needs to best tell the story. The sizable amount of land across LA County alone that will be needed to film on to pull this epic sequence off is greatly anticipated. It's mammoth, and personally, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they will. The planning and attention to detail to illustrate enormous sequences like this one accurately and suspensefully are why so many people have always enjoyed Michael Mann's movies, like in Heat, Ali, Thief, or Collateral. Also, it goes without saying, but we the fans enjoy a lot of the characters in his movies. Usually, they're committed, focused, all-in type of people who think big, plan big, and do big. It's what they do, and I didn't say they were all good dudes. Hell, because most of them ain't. I can appreciate and respect initiative and the work made by some of these characters, but I wouldn't tell anybody to go follow in their footsteps. Before we get to shout-out time, I strongly encourage you to read the book before you see the movie. You won't regret it. Learn more about it in the description below. First, I'd like to shout out Michael Mann and Meg Gardiner for writing such a killer story. Next, shout out to Peter Giles, who did a fantastic job narrating the audiobook. Out of London, England, shout out to Matt Hersey for his work on the thumbnail and the chapter cards in this video. You can follow him on his IG. Out of Atlanta, Georgia, shout out to one of the best, if not the very best, headshot photographers in the game, Josh Stringer. He took the picture you could see in the thumbnail. You can follow him on his IG. Out of Knoxville, Tennessee, by way of New York City, shout out to Steve Miller for the fine post-production work on this review. You can follow him on his IG. Out of Knoxville, Tennessee, shout out to Carly Lindsay for the stunning drawings throughout this review. You can follow her on her IG. Finally, my brother Brett, your wisdom and insights are second to none. Thank you for all your help.
Oh, it's already 11. You're already drinking, Trev?
It's my off day.
Oh, let's see. You got your earring with the card done?
Yeah.
Alright. Would you ever consider another book review again?
Cut. If you got value from this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed disc golf, check out this playlist right here. If you enjoy 20-second movie reviews, hit this playlist.